Hello everyone and welcome back to Alien Addict, where we discuss all things UFOs and aliens and indulge into the mysteries of the unexplained. My name is Nick, and if you could be so kind to like and subscribe, that would be much appreciated. So as we keep on our rise to the skies, we need to look down to the ground on planet Earth because News Nation has come forward with a very interesting footage. Now, some of you may be a bit skeptical on this footage I'm about to show, but nevertheless, I think it's worth mentioning.
Unexplainable orbs hovering in a mysterious part of the Australian desert known as Australia's Skinwalker Ranch, captured on video. Take a look at this. An orb, a solid white spherical object appearing to move slowly through the frame. It was a scientist camping in the desert who caught the incredible footage on an infrared digital camera while scanning the sky. And that wasn't all he captured. I do want to bring in News Nation special correspondent Ross Coulthart, who interviewed this scientist who captured the footage. Ross, thanks for joining us. It's always good to see you.
Good evening, Natasha. Nice to see you too.
And Ross, people have observed orbs specifically in this region dating back hundreds of years. You interviewed the scientist who recorded the videos. What did he think these objects were?
So Dr. Andrew Morgan's a scientist who's been collaborating with another scientist from the US to try and investigate a phenomenon that's been seen in the Australian outback for, as you say, hundreds of years. The Aboriginal people called them min-min lights. And when the first European settlers arrived in Australia, they were really struck by these weird glowing orbs of light that are frequently seen hovering over what we call the outback, which are the big wide open spaces of mainly desert and the Australian interior. And so one of the things that a lot of the debunkers have been saying in response to this vision is that this is just backlit insects moving through a light that's illuminating the scene, and that they're out of focus insects. One of the things that Dr. Morgan was able to do was actually film insects in exactly the same scenario with the same camera and the same focus settings, and he was clearly able to delineate the insects and birds from whatever these objects are. So whatever they are, they're anomalous. They appear to be intelligently moving through the landscape. They seem to be curious. And the Aboriginal people have talked about these objects for thousands of years. They call them spirits, spirit people. And essentially they are very, very similar. Dr. Morgan and his colleague have published a paper which explores this idea. They're very, very similar to lights that have been recorded across the United States at various Air Force bases where there've been anomalous orbs basically going into buildings, and particularly other areas where there are nuclear weapons. And Dr. Morgan and his colleague are doing much more rigorous investigations to try and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Dr. Morgan wrote a research paper on these orbs, and it wasn't accepted by the scientific community. Is that right?
There's a lot of dogmatic resistance in conventional science to the whole idea of anomalous phenomena, as you know, Natasha. One of the biggest things we get from debunkers is they often say, oh, why do these incidents only ever happen over the United States and mainly over crowded cities or military bases? And frankly, they don't. They are happening all over the world. And we're not saying they're alien. We're not saying they're necessarily anomalous. But what we are saying is that they should be investigated. And that's what Dr. Morgan and his colleague are doing. And they're not jumping to conclusions. They're taking very careful scientific measurements. They want to go back with new gear. They do detect changes in the environment that are consistent with anomalous phenomena, electromagnetic phenomena changes, changes in radiation. There's something going on, and they're trying to find out what it is.
It's very interesting.
I can hear the skeptics and debunkers screaming, oh, it's just bugs. And to be honest with you, I don't think it is, because if we're having a look at this object here, it's quite solid. You don't see any wings flapping or anything like that. It could be one of those bugs that glows in the dark. It's just a possibility. However, I would quite like to read Dr. Morgan's research into this, his papers, and to find out what analysis he comes up with. Because I'm not necessarily saying that these are bugs. I mean, sure, it could be a possibility, but however, it's a solid ball object. And this is what I found interesting. I just clocked. If you have a look on this footage, you can see a rod. I've done a video on Alien Addicts on rods, and personally myself, I wouldn't say that these are bugs or moths. And I know that the History Channel did do a debunk on it on rods, and it looks nothing like it. And the explanation for that was the fact that moths was just going past the camera at a low shutter speed. But the fact that this phenomena has been more or less been forgotten about but the orbs have started to come back now. So this kind of reminds me of the rod phenomena going back into the late 90s, early 2000s. We shouldn't deny these balls of light because they've been spotted throughout history, and we can't deny them just to say it's just bugs, because clearly there's something else behind it. And I'm really interested to find out what Dr. Morgan and his colleagues have to say about this phenomena, whether or not they're actually spirits or actually bugs, or there's something else entirely, something interdimensional. Who knows? It's going to be very, very interesting, and I'll keep you all posted very, very soon. And I would agree with Ross Coulthard on this, that the fact that these balls of light have not only been spotted in Australia, but in fact all around the world, because I'm about to show you a footage of the same balls of light in Florida. If you go into Hidden Underbelly 2.0's YouTube channel, you can find that me and Hidden did a live stream with this guy here named John Bell, who's been spotting these balls of light flying around his area in Florida. Now, John uses night vision camera or night vision scope to actually spot these balls of light. And this is what he sent me yesterday. If you want to find a full interview with John Bell, go check out Hidden Underbelly 2.0's YouTube channel. And if you go to this video right here, who is John Bell? And you can find all the footage and the full interview with John himself. So let's get back to the footage. So here we have John Bell in his back garden filming these balls of light, and he's using a laser pointer. And obviously he's filming in night vision camera, which is actual night vision scope, I believe, and using a laser pointer to actually point at these objects. And as you can see these balls of light that appear into his night vision. There we go. So very much like News Nation, what Dr. Morgan's been showing, but John Bell's been filming this for many, many years. And as you can see, it's quite compelling. It looks just like the same as News Nation's footage. Here's a final footage I'm going to show you. This is quite compelling. Look how big this orb is. It's huge. There's no flashing lights. It's not a drone. It's not an aircraft, especially not a helicopter either. There's, like I said, there's no navigation beacon that's actually flashing. Just a solid ball of light. And there we go. Points a laser pointer at it. Maybe get some communication back from this object. Who knows? And you can see it's quite a low altitude, this ball of light. Very, very compelling. So we shouldn't deny these balls of light. And I know the skeptics and the debunkers will obviously say that, oh no, these are just bugs. But there's obviously some sort of explanation, unexplained explanation for this. And I really do hope that Dr. Morgan does come forward and bring some very compelling conclusions to what these balls of light could be. If you want to find more footage like this, go check out my good friend John Bell at Florida Real UFO on YouTube. So let's move on to X and let's check out Scott C. Waring at UFO Sightings 101. And this footage shows a very interesting spherical object seen in the sky. Let's check this out. Unfortunately, there's no sound with this, but you can clearly see a very, very cylindrical object. Doesn't look like a balloon. However, it looks like it's just lingering in the air, isn't it? It doesn't seem to be moving side to side or up and down. This object seems to be quite stationary because whoever's filming this is doing a really, really good job of keeping the camera still. But as we can see, these balls of light could possibly be looking like this, could be these cylindrical objects. Is it something military? Is it something, we can see it moving there. Look at it. It's definitely not a balloon. Very smooth object. Could it be something military? Could it be something extraterrestrial, some sort of probe? Interesting stuff, nevertheless. So this object appears to be taken by two different cameras, and this is very, very compelling. So what do you guys think? Do you think there's something military? Is it something extraterrestrial, some sort of experimental probe? And you can see it moving there. It looks like it's defying anti-gravity, isn't it? Now, these balls of light have been spotted since the beginning of December when the drone invasion started to appear in the skies of New Jersey. As we're on the themes of balls of light, check this news footage out from Oklahoma News. And this news broadcaster noticed something flying across the screen.
Start out outside today where it was actually a warmer day than we've been seeing.
So as you can see to the right-hand side where my cursor is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, you can see this object fly into the view of the camera.
A warmer day than we've been seeing, and one of the warmest that we're going to have on the entire 7-day forecast moving forward.
He clocks it.
Wonder what that is right there. That's pretty interesting. Moving really fast. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. Just interesting stuff flying around.
Now, I would say this. I've seen birds and seagulls flying in the sky at night, and you've got a light reflection from it. And you do get the flappiness. It almost like it's blinking on and off, on and off. I would personally say that this is the bird, simply because I have seen this in real life. I live next to a football city stadium, and you get a lot of seagulls that fly over the stadium. Now, the stadium lights are on, and when the seagulls are actually flying, it will actually give off this effect. Now, if you have a look really closely, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, it's actually like flashing. And that's a clear sign of the wings from the birds. Now, obviously, is at night. So you've got the dark night sky, and you've got the lights from the city. And what happened, this is a light effect, and the wings will produce this flashing effect coming from the object, which in my opinion is a seagull. But nevertheless, the news anchor did notice it.
Wonder what that is right there. That's pretty interesting. Moving really fast. Okay.
And that's the other thing, it's moving really fast. Now, I will put my debunking skeptic hat on and say that this is most probably a bird, in my opinion. Like I said, I've seen this many, many times before, of this object given this like flashing sort of appearance, and it is flying up and down, which is pretty much like what a bird normally does, and I see a lot of birds in my area. So that's just my opinion on that one. Love to see what you guys think, but interesting nevertheless. So let's move on to this footage from New Jersey, taken on the 13th of February 2025, and again the drones are still appearing. Plus the balls of light. We still have this combination of balls of light and drones, which I think a lot of confusion that was going around December and January sort of time, because I think more people definitely was looking up into the sky, seeing these things, and it's still continuing to this day. Are you believing the official story that these are FAA drones that have been approved to actually do some sort of surveillance? Surveillance and what? This is the other thing. You know, we haven't really had a proper explanation for this, which is still a mystery, an ongoing mystery, so to speak. But let's check out this footage.
Storm, come here. Storm, come here.
These balls of light have been more coherent in the past 3 months than ever before. So here's a footage from New Jersey in regards of these balls of light. Still an ongoing mystery. Now let's move on to something a bit more clearer. Now I know what you're going to say. Now this is an old footage. I found it quite compelling because this was taken allegedly in the UK in 2008. So if we're saying that this footage I'm about to show you is actually CGI, it shows you how good it was back then compared to what we have now in terms of AI. Check this out. I would have to admit, for 2008, this is pretty good. Even if there is CGI, which is most probably is, it's still pretty good footage. And I think 2008, you know, we didn't have HD cameras, especially phone cameras. We would call this a potato camera these days. So the quality sort of blends in. There we go. You can clearly see that this is CGI, but I thought it was quite good to show you anyway, just to show how technology has gone from the past. Well, it's coming up nearly, 16, 17 years? But nevertheless, it's still entertaining. And last but not least, we're going all the way back to Florida, where this UFO was spotted in the sky. Check this out, guys. Look at this.
Fuck yeah, it is.
That is weird AF. Huh. It's there. It's on the other side of the phone.
Is it me or is it shape-shifting?
So freaky.
Slightly. Okay, let's just go through this footage. As you can see, the object is going to the right-hand side, and you can see the clouds are going to the opposite direction, to the left-hand side. Now, you will get different altitudes that will push the clouds in different directions. I know that because I filmed the sky 24/7, and I know that different atmospheres can actually do that. In terms of, we'll say that this was a balloon, at whatever altitude this is, seems to be quite high. The camera's picking it up quite well. And I personally feel balloons in the sky, and I noticed they don't really flow like this, especially at a very high altitude, whatever altitude this is actually flying at. You will get different speeds and different sort of velocities. And I've noticed with especially like circular balloons, they'll go practically all over the place. This seems to be quite a smooth motion, as you can see. I might be wrong on that one. It could be a balloon. But what I would say in terms of balloons, they will actually turn and twist, and it gives the appearance that this object could possibly be shapeshifting. So guys, what do you think what this object could possibly be? Do you think it's some sort of extraterrestrial craft, something military, or could it just be a balloon? Nevertheless, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos of this, please hit that notification bell so you can keep updated on videos I upload. And I shall see you very soon in this crazy world of 2025. Until next time, always remember, they're watching you, watching us, watching them. See you next time, folks.